Biden's push for COVID vaccine mandates is facing even deeper resistance today. A federal judge in Georgia delivered another court blow, blocking enforcement, for now anyway, of the White House vaccine requirement for certain federal contractors. That is the third court setback. Biden efforts to mandate vaccines for certain healthcare workers and for people working at larger companies, also frozen at the moment by court rulings. Plus, at least two Democratic senators, Jon Tester and Joe Manchin, say they will support a Republican effort to overturn the federal vaccine mandate on those larger businesses. The panel is back with me, including Shanlon. Let me start with you, Counsel. I want to read from, this is U.S. District Judge Stan Baker in the Georgia case. The court must preserve the rule of law and ensure that all branches of government act within the bounds of their constitutionally granted authorities. This is a Trump appointee, and he said, yes, COVID has taken a horrific toll on the country, and he recognized that in the decision, but he's saying the White House overstepped. Does the case law back that up?
I don't think the case law really backs it up. His rhetoric is kind of silly. I mean, he talks about how he's just preserving the status quo. That's kind of like a duh moment, Judge. That's what injunctions will do. OSHA, on that front, has a very poor history with trying to institute health mandates like that. So historically, it's been hard to do. But legally, this is not really going to be backed up on either side in terms of the Court of Appeals issues. It's not a district court issue. Ultimately, it's going to have to go to the Court of Appeals.
But the timing impact is that for now, Biden's efforts to increase vaccination across the country through these mandates in these different sectors are on hold, which means not happening.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. I think there's two ways to look at this. On the one hand, just the announcement of the rollout of these plans weeks ago, months ago, I don't remember when it was now, had an impact on vaccinations. A lot of people just went ahead and got vaccinated. They were like, I'm going to have to get vaccinated anyway. I'm just going to do it. And so to that extent, he's already accomplished quite a bit. But in this final push, and as you see with new variants coming online, it matters, like what is the percentage of vaccinations. In this final push, he is obviously hitting a snag at multiple levels in courts, in states, from a couple of folks in his own party. And the polling gives some clues as to why. When you ask people generically, are vaccines a good idea? Most people, not most Republicans, but most people, most Americans say yes. Most independents say yes. When you ask people, should healthcare workers be vaccinated? Most people say yes. When you start talking about businesses and how that impacts the economy, it becomes a different answer. And it is that it's the crossover concern with the economy that I think is driving some of this Democratic resistance.
And so Republicans are going to make this an issue in the midterm elections. Joe Biden wants to mandate your life, and in this case, COVID vaccines. So it's interesting. Senate Republicans want to go on the record and pass something that says no mandate on the big businesses. It won't go anywhere in the House. Nancy Pelosi is the speaker there. But Joe Manchin says this.
And I don't think the government has to make every decision for the private sector. You know, you've been doing quite well without it.
Is there a better approach than a mandate that the government
I've always said incentivize, don't penalize.
Manchin is often an outlier, if you will, but this is Jon Tester of Montana. I intend to join a bipartisan majority of my colleagues in defending Montana jobs and small businesses against these burdensome regulations. So you see some Democrats deciding too, because of their politics back home, Montana and West Virginia, the home states of those two senators, can't be with you, Mr. President.
Right. I think we're starting to see that Democrats are really starting to understand that some people just don't want to be told what to do. I mean, we're more than a year into this pandemic. We've had vaccines for months and months. You know, I've gotten my shots. I've gotten my booster. But I did that on my own volition. There are other people who just don't want to be told what to do. And I think that this is the issue that Biden and Democrats are running into. I mean, the 2022 environment is not favorable for Democrats right now. The Republicans are able to just point to the environment, point to the economy, point to all of the issues that Biden has faced, and continue to say that Biden is also trying to mandate private companies to do this and do that. You know, I think this is something that could come back to hurt Democrats in 2022.
And it's not just Senator Manchin and Senator Tester who have a problem with this and don't want to embrace these vaccine requirements. You're also seeing the governor of New Jersey, Phil Murphy, say similar. The governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, they're not embracing this wholeheartedly like some other Democrats are, because I think they realize they're not very popular. And President Biden himself did not want to do this. Initially, when he got into office, he said this is not the route he was going to take. They felt forced to take it because the rate of vaccinations were so low and the hesitancy was so high that they really felt like this was the only way to get that out there, especially after the Delta variant swept the country. And so he introduced this in September. It took several weeks for the Labor Department to try to craft this rule for private businesses, trying to give it muster so it could go through the courts. Of course, that has not happened yet.
We'll watch as the court cases play out, and we'll watch as the Capitol Hill politics play out. Coming up for us,